What I wanted to share with you today was my workflow for how I created this hovering effect in this video. Alright, so to create this effect I used two different objects. Let's take a look at those. I have one that is a gradient and another one that is the rings. Let's take a look at the gradient first. Okay, first thing I do with all my shaders is I have a texture coordinate node and a mapping node, and then those will be plugged into whatever shader I have. In this case, I have a transparent shader and an emission shader plugged into a mix shader. Now to get this gradient fall off, I used a gradient texture, and that is plugged into the factor of the mix shader. To get the gradient to work the way I wanted it to, I had to play around with the rotation. So in this one, it was really easy. I just did -90 there, and then I can play with the location on the mapping so that I can get the correct placement for my gradient. Okay, let's talk about the rings. Okay, so the rings are pretty similar to what I had before. I have an emission node and a transparent node plugged into a mix shader. The difference is I have one of these sets that is making the rings and another set that is controlling the gradient fall off. Without that gradient fall off and just the rings, it looks like this, which kind of defeats the purpose of what I was trying to accomplish with the gradient fall off. So in order to get that look, I had to use a math node and set that to power. And that seemed to mix both of those properly. Now you could have one texture coordinate here plugged into both of these mapping, but I have two just for this video. Okay, now the mapping with the bands was a little bit different. So I have the wave texture with bands, and I had to kind of just finagle these rotation values until I got it so it was looking kind of parallel with the ground. And then I animated the location value. So the way I animated it is I used a driver, but you can animate by right-clicking in here and inserting keyframes, moving your timeline in changes value and insert keyframes. The driver is nice because you can control how fast it goes, and you can change that easily, where with the keyframes you'd have to change the keyframes. So this is how you do the driver. You click in here, we're gonna do a little code, we're gonna do $frame and multiply that by whatever number you need to. In this case I did -0.03 because that helped it go down. So we'll do 0.03. So you can play around with those values till you get what you want. And so when I push play, there we have it. It moves down. Now one last thing, before you'll be able to see the transparency on either of these, you have to select the Material tab in the Properties window, and then under Settings, there's Blend Mode, and change that to Alpha Blend. Normally it's set to opaque, so you would just see the gradient, or not even the gradient. This one has a color ramp, but it is gradient, but there's no transparency. So we just change that back to Alpha Blend, and there you have it. So when both of those objects are combined, I get this nice hovering effect. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. I have more videos coming on the way. Please subscribe and hit the notification button so you can see when I upload new videos. I'll see you next time.